The Australian lamb industry's come a long way in the last 20 years. Certainly I think it is more becoming a premium product on the world market. It now retails 4 times chicken, and the people that are eating it are changing as well, where once it was a staple of a household, now it is more and more young professional, high earning consumers who can afford to pay lamb's price point worldwide. We really see lamb needs segmentation in the market. Not every meal you're looking to pay $40 a kilo for high-end steak or lamb. You go to beef, you can purchase top-end Wagyu, Angus, and you know it'll eat really, really well. Lamb struggles at the moment. If you've got the Queen coming to dinner, there isn't any brand that can actually assure a 5-star eating experience. So we see segmentation coming, which simply mimics beef around the world. In 2019, we're expecting LambPro rams will sire 800,000 lambs on our current estimates. On the current trajectory, within 2 years, that'll be 1 million. And that's starting to give us more and more industry impact. It gives us better brand awareness for our clients. So now, a lot of processors understand what our breeding programs represent and where it fits in their cutting lines in their markets. We started the Prime Lamb Improvement Company back in 2013, which is primarily a research-based company. Really, in terms of eating quality, what we wanted to do is look at our own genetics as well as outside genetics and look at the impact on consumer acceptance. And that was probably one of the key differences. We're not only collecting carcass data and submitting that into LambPlan, we're actually also using consumer sensory panels to see what their response is to the product. We can see that our top genetics with high levels of IMF or marbling can eat 25% greater than the average lamb. And that's a massive impact for a consumer. If you look at the willingness to pay data, those high eating experienced lambs, which are typically classified as MSA 5-star, consumers in the Australian market will pay 2.5 times more for a 5-star eating experience than what they will a 3-star eating experience. The one thing we've learned, many traits equals little gain. So really, as the market is becoming more segmented, so are our genetics. What we've actually done is started another terminal sire program, being our HAMPSHIRE down program, which is highly weighted on IMF. Where we see that product sitting is for people who want to target high-end markets that actually reward marbling and tenderness in their specifications.
Yeah, so we're in our 3rd year of progeny testing, and each year we've tested more and more terminal sires, and the Hampshire continues to come out on top. One particular sire has certainly been a super sire. His progeny just last year they've produced 8% IMF, off mum, off grass. There's only ever been 3 animals that go above +1 for IMF in the analysis system, and now this year our entire drop of Hampshire down lambs will average above +1.
Really, with the tradies, we wanted an animal that was 100% focused on the domestic market. The other thing about the tradie, we wanted, the biggest feedback we get from a lot of people in the industry, that their terminal sires just aren't lasting. They're breaking down after 2 seasons. So 2 things we try to do in the tradies. The first thing is we try to put a heap of muscle, a heap of fat cover and a heap of marbling on them to make them perfect for those supermarket or domestic whole carcass markets in Australia. The second thing is, by utilising hybrid vigour and also by putting black feet on them, we're seeing rams last for an extra season or 2, which for an average producer is actually worth a fair bit, and it actually also affects conception rates as well. The Dorset is still the mainstay of our terminal breeding program. It's diverse, it can hit export markets, it can hit domestic markets, and really where we see the Dorset is people that probably switch markets a bit. We've got enough muscle to really nail that supermarket lamb, but we have got enough yield and grow that if all of a sudden the market dictates, we can go to a 28 kilo lamb comfortably. The key with our Dorsets, our first goal is always maximum carcass weight production. It is what we get paid for. However, we are still trying to maintain top 10% carcass weight production and also address increasing consumer satisfaction through marbling. And that's just an ongoing process, screening the population, finding rams that tick both boxes. Our maternal breeding program hasn't changed. We still believe in running sheep in high stocking rates under commercial pressure and trying to select animals that reduce costs of production on an ongoing basis. Well, certainly, as the graphs support, you can see within our analysis, there certainly is an impact on fat on kilograms of lamb between. The other thing, as we're seeing more and more data in terms of fertility, we're seeing higher conception ASBVs in animals that have more fat cover.
This year, joining on a first week of January joining, we've achieved a 77% multiples in our preg scanning with only 5% triplets and 5% dry. And that's with only a 400 grams per day of lupins over that joining period. So a short joining period of 5 weeks. So since about 2010, in terms of ASBVs, LambPro maternals have improved by 16%, which is huge. 95% of our ewe lambs out of mature ewes have got in lamb, and 50% of them are twin-bearing multiples.
The Australian red meat industry has seen massive ewe weight increases in not only merino and composite, but you look at a lot of the cattle industries and it's generating some really good debate on where we should be in terms of mature size. Our view hasn't changed and our data supports that. Over about 70 kilos, we don't see a big increase in kilograms weaned. So we have continually tried to cap our ewe weight, but bend the growth curves. So high early growth, as well as low mature ewe weight. And you look at our sire team this year, they're all over 9.5 of weaning weights, but their ewe weights are around 12 to 13. In 2013, I spent a bit of time looking at the New Zealand dairy industry and what they've done in terms of genetic gain and how that's translated to milk solids a hectare has been groundbreaking. Really what I wanted to do is be able to pick up those principles and be able to assign individual ewes breeding indexes based on their genetics and also collecting phenotypic data to keep refining that index. That gives producers a really powerful tool, what ewes to mate to what ram, i.e. terminal and maternal, which ewes to sell, and that's really what Primeline Plus is aiming to do. Seedstock producers in Australia have always provided rams and bulls. Really, we see our game is to provide gains as opposed to just rams. We want to actually provide genetic gains. Primeline Plus is about actually measuring those gains and monitoring those gains, not only on a per flock basis, but on an individual ewe basis. Being a part of LambPro is really simple. It's just a matter of ringing or emailing, and we can run through the sales options. We have private treaties from November through to April. We have regional sales in Guyra and Tasmania, but our main flagship event is in November at Holbrook, where we have a 2-day sale where this year over 1,200 rams will go through the ring over 2 days. It's a great 2 days. We've got lunches, we've got dinners. Hundreds of producers come from all across the country and get to talk to each other about how their patch of dirt's going, different management issues. So it's a really exciting 2 days.